That's what is inscribed on the Statue of Liberty. For centuries, the Statue of Liberty has stood as a beacon of hope for immigrants coming to this country. But under this administration, that light has been tarnished. Instead, we are more concerned with building walls and tearing families apart than we are providing due process and a pathway to citizenship. As a mother, I cannot imagine what it takes for a mother to look at her children and leave her home, leave her country, leave her culture to come here, go through dangerous terrain only to arrive for ICE to rip their family apart at the border and deny them due process. As a mother, if I were to leave my 3-year-old son to tend to my 1-year-old, if I were to not provide adequate food and water for my children, if I were not to take my children to the doctor when they had a fever, when they were vomiting, when they had diarrhea, I would be locked in jail. Whenever immigration and customs enforcement does it, they are applauded by our president. This is outrageous. This whole process is disgusting. We must do better as a country and as a society and as a government. You guys, this is not a new problem. This is not new. The crisis at our border is just modeled after previous behavior. In the 1600s, we began ripping Native Americans from their homeland, where we stand today. We began ripping them from their culture. We began ripping their families apart and killing them in the masses. Simultaneously, we ripped Africans from their homeland and brought them here, told them if you come here, we can find work for you. But we brought them here, we put them on auction blocks, we sold them as slaves. They were beaten mercilessly. They were not given adequate pay for the work they were doing. Their families were ripped apart. In the 1800s, we did the same thing to Chinese immigrants. We told them, come here, come build our railroad. You'll have a better life. Instead, they worked side by side with African American slaves and were given nothing to show for it, but built the railroad that made our economy, that supported the white man, and they got nothing to show for it. In the 1940s, it didn't have to be the Japanese. Anybody who appeared to be of Asian descent, they were ripped away from their homes, from their jobs, their whole lives that they built here, and sent to internment camps. The same internment camps that are being used today by ICE. We're still in the midst of it. It's not just the crisis at our border. It's the war on drugs. It's police brutality. This is still happening today right in front of our eyes. For those who are complacent, for those who say, it's not my problem, I'm fine, I'm not affected, I want to remind each and every one of them of Martin Luther King, what he said. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. It's not your rights today, but it will be tomorrow. We stand here in front of Congressman Ross Spano's office. He's up in his ivory brick tower, not doing anything about what's happening at this border. We have to implore him to make a better pathway to citizenship. We have to urge him to do something to close down these camps. We must take this rage that we are feeling to the ballot box. We have to vote like our lives depend on, like our rights depend on it, because they do. That's all that I have to say to you guys today. Thank you so much for coming. I want to introduce you guys to my friend and the woman who has been helping put on this event, Donna Windsor.
Yay, Donna! Give it up for Donna!
Hi, y'all.
Hi.
I know a lot of you probably already know me and have seen me, and I get around. So the reason I get around is because I go home at night and I look at 2 children. I look at 2 children, and I look at 2 children every night, and it breaks my heart to think that any mother anywhere in the world has her child taken away when she asks for help. When they come to this country and they travel thousands of miles and face all kinds of danger, and they get to our border where they think they are going to get help, they have no idea what we're up to, and then they get here and their children are taken from them. and they don't know when or if they're going to get their children back. That keeps me up at night. And as long as I'm up at night, I'm going to be doing something about it. So I'm going to be signing petitions, I'm going to be sending emails, and I am going to be here fighting for every one of those mothers and every one of those children until there aren't any more. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I know y'all are here too, because I know none of you are okay with this, or you wouldn't be here. You'd be sitting home having a burger and a beer. But you're here. So we're all here for the same reason. So I want to thank everybody that came out tonight. I'm glad to stand here with you and be here with you. And I want to also thank all of you, because I know you're going to turn up and you're going to vote and you're going to write your congressman, and we are not going to let this go. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Jackie Vickers, the second Vice President for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People's Lakeland branch. And I proudly stand before you today as we come together in unity to speak up against the truly wrong and inhumane conditions that people are going through at these ICE camps. Unfortunately, this is all happening on the land of the free, home of the brave. But unfortunately, people, we have some cowards among us. We have some cowards that are allowing men, women, and children to live in such horrific conditions. We have seen it in the news. In fact, Time magazine has said that adults and children have been held for days, weeks, or even months in cramped cells, sometimes with no access to soap, toothpaste, can't even wash their hands, let alone take a shower. In fact, there are children sleeping on concrete floors, adults standing for days due to lack of spacing, and is not right. So we hear about it, we even see images about it, so what are we going to do about it? And that's why we're here. It's time to speak up and take a stand. And NAACP is here to stand right along with you. In fact, the NAACP has a long-standing policy against racial profiling and has always strongly supported the rights of immigrants. We will remain committed to preventing fusion of police responsibilities and immigration enforcement as part of our goal to protect the rights of people of color. But it truly takes all people, not just people of color. It truly takes all people to recognize the facts and speak up against injustice. Fact: it is not a criminal offense for an immigrant to be in the United States illegally. It is a civil violation. And civil violations, by definition, involve violations of administrative matters. For example, not paying your bills. Where a criminal offense are violations of the laws prohibiting certain conduct. For example, laws against theft or physical violence. So considering these facts, why are these immigrants being treated as criminals? In fact, they are being treated less than criminals. They are being treated more like animals. And let's be honest, they're being treated less than animals because they are being stripped away from their families. They are being held in horrific conditions where they're not even getting their basic needs, hygiene needs, and pulled away and being denied of their rights. And as mentioned before, it was the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. who said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And we must continue to face the facts and speak up. any immigration reform must address the current problems in our immigration system. It cannot focus solely on enforcement. And despite attempts by the government officials to say they do not support racial profiling, in reality, many of these law enforcement laws are essentially pathways to requiring the law enforcement to engage in true practice of racial profiling. In fact, this Sunday, there are scheduled ICE raids all throughout this country. And what do you think they're going to do it based off of? Racial profiling, accents, your color of your skin. And the U.S. government should prevent police from investigating and detaining people based off of color, not mandating it. Americans deserve an immigration system that protects all workers and guarantees the safety of our nation without compromising our fundamental civil rights, human rights, and civil liberties. Laws and actions that encourage discrimination and violates those rights have no place in this country.
Hear, hear.
So today and together, we speak up. Thank you.
All right, next I would like to invite Cesar Ramirez to the stand. To the sofa.
Raise your right hand.
The podium.
Not that I have something against something pink, but I think I can speak. But I am short, so I'll take advantage of the stand. I wish I could be here under different circumstances. This one is a tough one, right? And I have to just ask, really, who are we?
What? Donald Trump.
I mean, who are we? Who have we become? Those two questions, it challenges me. And when I was asked to come here to speak about this particular topic, I had some time to actually really think about that. I want to tell you real quick about a story, real quick about a little boy. A little boy who used to get into trouble a lot. Not anything bad, but you know, stuff that'll get him a spanking or get him punished, things taken away. And he got in trouble one day, but it was this thing that he did that was a little bit different. It was a different type of trouble that he got into. You see, his dad told him, don't go into my closet. Don't mess with any of my suits. Well, you know, you tell a little kid that, what's he gonna do? He's gonna go into the closet, right? He's gonna mess with the suits. So he did. He opened the door and he saw this one suit in plastic. And it was in pristine condition. And it was his army uniform suit. And you could tell this dad visit that suit because the metals were shiny and the blue rope was nice and perfect. There was no dust on it. This little boy's eyes lit up, big blue. It was glowing. So what did he do? Took the suit off the hanger, right? This little boy grabbed it and he was so excited. He took it and he put it on. So they had this bureau that the mirror's on top of the bureau. So in order for him to take a look at his suit, as he put it on, he had to jump on top of the bed. So now he was doing two things wrong, right? He was jumping on the bed, he was wearing the suit, and he realized he was wearing an army suit. So he goes, does a nice salute in the mirror when his father came in. What are you doing? He got scared, he got nervous. I'm sorry, Dad, I'm sorry, Papi, I'm sorry. He was about to run off, and his dad grabbed him and he hugged him. And it was that moment that that little boy saw that dad and saw that affirmation, that level of pride that he had in his son wearing that suit. Now this dad didn't volunteer to be in the army. He was voluntold because he was drafted into Vietnam. But here's the kicker to this story and why this story is this important. Thank you, sir. That little boy was me. That little boy was me. And while he was voluntold, I volunteered because I wanted to be just like him. And I served from 1995 to 2001. And as I got out from the military, we got an opportunity to talk about it. And even though he was drafted, he didn't resist. He actually saw it as a calling. And we talked about, he asked me, why did you join? So I want to be like you. And he said, no, but besides that, why did you join? Because I'm a proud American. And he goes, I'm a proud American too. So when I ask that question, who are we? Who have we become? My dad is in heaven right now, but I can tell you he will not be happy about what's going on. My grandfather also served in World War II. So it's a legacy of serving our country that today I am angered at the idea. I got to ask myself, who are we? Who have we become? But you know what? I'm not going to take on that blame or responsibility because the reality is I know who I am. I'm a proud American, just like you guys out here, because you're here today, right? And my dad was a proud American, and my grandfather was a proud American, and we served. But we didn't serve so that we can treat people like the way we don't want to be treated. We wag our fingers to other countries. But yet, here we are, asking ourselves who we are, who have we become. But I'm going to flip it. Because the reality is, we know who we are. We are the greatest country in the world. While people in D.C. touts and pounds their chest, let's make America great again, they're not. They're not. But you know what? We will be. We will be that instrument to make America what it's supposed to be. Because you know what, fellow people? Not being able to take a bath. I was in the field where I couldn't take a bath for 30 days. I know what it is. With my M16 and a tent full of 8 other people, knowing that we had a mission, but we couldn't bathe. I was one of the smart guys. I had baby wipes and all that stuff. But that was by choice and that was by mission. I had a goal. Because even though in the military they always say you don't practice democracy, but you sure damn as well protect it. And that's what we got to do now. We got to protect our democracy. And how do we do that? There's a lot of different ways of doing that. A lot of different ways of doing that. We can volunteer. We can take up hygiene drives, clothing drives. There's an immediate need right now. Talk to your churches and say you want to do this to send to these detention centers. There's some in Florida, in Homestead. So when we talk about asking that question, who are we? What have we become? That's not a question for us. We know. That's a question for Congressman Spano, who's voted no on all the different things that we can do to help alleviate the situation. He's voted no. I got it right here. All the different bills that came across his desk that he voted no. I can read them down, but it'll be wasting your time. I'm not here for that. I'm here because I want to motivate. I want to inspire, just as you guys inspired and motivated me to be here, to do things. Now, I'm wearing my political colors, proudly, I am a Democrat. But I'm appealing to Republicans too, who are tired of this nonsense. I know some very good friends of mine. Okay, this is not a Republican, Democrat, independent, and if you're not politically affiliated because you're disgusted, I understand. I'm almost there. But it doesn't mean that we get to sit back and just watch things unfold. There are things that we can do. Because at the end of the day, we are Americans, we live in America, and we are on the same team. When I'm in the Army, I don't get to say I'm Democrat or Republican, I'm in the Army. We get to joke around with the Marines and the Navy. Air Force says aim high, we say we shoot them down. And we do that competition stuff. But when we go out there, we're all wearing the same colors. And folks, those colors don't bleed. But when it's being attacked and pulpated by people who think they're making America great again, there's a fundamental problem with that. Fundamental problem with that. So what do we need to do? We need to vote better leaders, right? We need to vote. And everybody here knows somebody that doesn't vote. Because if that wasn't the case, we would not be in this situation right now, I tell you. Okay? In Polk County, we can make it happen. In Florida, we can make it happen. In the Southeast, we can make it happen. In the United States of America, we can make it happen, folks. You got to not only give yourselves a hand, but you got to pull people and say, you need to do this. And if they don't want to get out of their beds, tell them there's a vote by mail. They could register on the phone. Okay? But when I see the Lights of Liberty logo and about being here, I think about what does that mean? Because right now, if that's Statue of Liberty, and it's on the New York side, don't let New Jersey people tell you anything different. Standing out there with that lit torch, right now, honestly, that torch is not lit. It's telling people, don't come here. You don't belong. And the reason why I'm so adamant about this, not only because that doggone picture of that dad and that little girl, and I refuse to say dad and little girl because his name was Oscar Alberto Martinez Ramirez. My name is Cesar Ramirez. So you can imagine when I read that article how much that affected me. Not only because the name, not only because they too was trying to get a taste of life, liberty, justice, but fundamentally, people, that man, his daughter Valeria, looks just like me. I was that little boy that has so much pride in being an American. And I almost had that taken away from me by this president, this congressman. I'm not going to let that happen. We're not going to let that happen, right? So guys, it's not that far away. Let's do more of these. Let's make them bigger and better. And let's invite the Republicans. Let's invite the non-politically affiliated. We can find them. They're out there. Let's make this America that we know again. I never thought that we would be in a position where we got to fix it. But we can fix it. And you guys are the solution. Not just one person, everybody collectively. But it starts somewhere, and it starts right here. And I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to get up on this soapbox, to share my story, and the reason why I'm profoundly impacted by this, because the reality is, as president of the Hispanic Caucus, this is not a Hispanic problem. I know members of the LGBT caucus, and it's not an LGBT issue. The Black caucus is not a black issue. It is a human race, human dignity, human rights. I have no idea why we're still fighting for human rights. It is insane to me. It is insane to me. I don't hate anybody, so I'm not going to say I hate. You know, my daughter, 6 years old, she tells me, do you hate Trump? I said, no. I feel sorry for him. And I feel sorry for all the things that he is doing to America. And then she goes, well, when I grow up, I'm going to fix it with you, puppy. So, that's right. So we have to engage our young. And as a community, dare I say village, we can do this together. All right? Thank you all.
All right. Has everyone gotten a candle that was able to get a candle? Everybody? Father, would you mind coming up here? We're going to open up the candlelight portion, so if you have lighters, please go ahead and light your candles. Share them if you don't have one. And we're going to open up in some prayer. If you do not pray, it's okay. Just take a moment of silence for yourself, please.
Source of justice is known by many names and known by no name. Let us not swerve from the path of righteousness that leads to just and equitable relationships. Open our eyes that we may see the immigrant and the migrant and the refugee, those with documents and those without, whose labor enables and sustains our living. Give us the courage to stand with those crossing our borders, escaping economic oppression and political persecution, seeking work to support their families. Give us the strength to confront prejudice and intolerance. Give us the will to leave behind the safety of our sanctuaries and temples and to claim our place in the movement to transform creation. Let us not forget that all creation is founded on justice. May it be so.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, if everybody could just stay gathered and just thoughtfully meditate on what we're here for, please.